Hello friends, welcome to BISP Solutions. Myself Ashwin and I work as a technical consultant at BISP Solutions. And BISP Solution is a tech company and provide technological solutions across the world. Now, this is our fifth webinar in the series of data migration, right? Now, those who could not attend the last 4 webinars, this webinar is the extract of all those. So please watch this webinar very carefully, and in this webinar I will explain you the complete procedure from beginning to end, right? Just a second. Okay, now let's start with the starting point. Here in the first part we will see what's the procedure, why we are migrating the data, and then in the middle part I will show you something about documentation part, and at the end I will show you the technical part. Okay, now again let's start with the beginning. So migration of data. Now see, our objective is migrating the data. Now first of all, objective is migration of data from QB to Fusion. Now the problem is that, what's the problem? First see, client is working in America and QB is working in USA only. Now client has opened a subsidiary in India. They are now retiring the QB. Now here the data migration comes in role. So is this clear that why the client wants to migrate? A very simple reason in one line, that is the client is working in America and they have just opened a subsidiary in India. So whatever they want in India, because QB does not support in India, so they are moving into Fusion. Now here our role comes, migration of data. Now we are now helping client to migrate the data from QB to Fusion. So first of all, we will see that exactly what they are doing in QB, that is the QuickBook, and what we are offering them, right? So why new ERP is required. Now see here, first of all let me show you, they were using QuickBook, right? So now in QuickBook there are some limitations that they were facing. So one or two we will discuss, and then we will move ahead. That the main target of this webinar is to show the complete process of migration of data. Okay. So first of all, let's see this. Now suppose if you see here, no image scanning capability, and here in Oracle Fusion there is a capability of scanning the image. So second thing is that no such real-time integration for the exchange rate in QuickBook, and here there is a facility in the Oracle Fusion, right? Real-time integration exchange rate means, for example, here you can see here it changes frequently. If you see the exchange rate, if we talk about the Indian and American currency, so we need we need to move Fusion because of these some limitations. Just hold on. Okay, yes. So now let's see here again. Then if you go again, there is no such integration tool which integrates with MS Excel, whereas in Oracle Fusion there is a facility that in Excel sheet you hit a button and then all the data will be transferred to Fusion. So these are we have just discussed one or two or three points that. So these, first of all, the thing is clear that they are moving to India, and in India Fusion is working. Now our role is that to help them to migrate the data from QB to Fusion. That's it. Now, first of all, I will show you the theoretical knowledge, that how we are going to do this. Secondly, we will focus on BRD. So this is the theory part, right? Now see here, source system is QB. Now we are going to migrate this extract, transform and load ETL process. We are going to use ETL process. In this ETL process, source system QuickBook, the data will be taken up and then it will be transformed and then it will be shifted to NetSuite Fusion, right? Later on I will show you how this complete process will be explained in BRD also, right? Another part is how ETL is done. So what happened, first of all, we will take the complete data. Okay, let's do one thing. We will cover this and then we will do this. So first of all, what we will do, we will take the data from the QuickBook. We will take the complete data from QuickBook and then we will take the Excel sheet of the Fusion also. Excel sheet of the Fusion. We will data in from the QuickBook in the form of Excel and then we will take the data from the Fusion and then we will do mapping, and then once the mapping is done with the headers, then we will transform the complete data as per our requirement and then we will upload the complete file in the target system, that is the Fusion. And this thing I will explain you technically also, right? So don't worry if any point is not clear to you. You just watch, I will explain you in depth. So now in the source QuickBook system, whatever the headers, suppose in QuickBook there are some headers which are using different labels, and in the target Fusion there are some different labels. Same thing is done with every master records. So what we will do first mapping part and then we will replace them. How we will replace them? With the help of scripting, right? We will see later on, and then upload the newly created file. This is the process that we are using, and in this process this is called final sheet in staging area. How we will do this? With the help of Python. Now with the help of Python we will do the complete process in minutes, because without any human intervention we are going to convert all the data, we are going to transform all the data into the target system. Okay, so these are the points. First of all, there are different things. For example, what we are doing, first of all, see here, our second step is, now see here. First of all, what we will do, extract, transform, load, that's it. Now this is what the theory part I have explained to you. Now let's focus on the BRD part, which is the most important BRD part. Now see here, I am going to show you, this is a standard structure of BRD, right? This is a standard structure which is used in BRD. So these are 10 points. It is not necessary that this is the final structure. You can make changes as per your requirement, right? So in many BRDs there are 9 points, 8 points. That depends on the length of the project, how complicated your project is. First of all, since beginning we will see introduction part. Now introduction, let me open my BRD also. This is what I have created, PDF final files and then BRD document. Okay, now this BRD is prepared for the migration of QuickBook to Fusion, right? So just keep this thing in mind that we are migrating the data from the QuickBook. So first of all, in this part it is written here the introduction part. Now introduction part means whatever we are having here. See here, I will explain you what are these tables later on. See, executive summary. In this executive summary, we are giving some introduction that of our company, that what we are doing, what we are focusing on. Each and everything is given in executive summary and our vision, right? Then here comes introduction in project overview. What the project is. First of all, in the BRD, you have to explain that what the project is, what they are, why they are moving, what they are doing in the QuickBook, and what we are offering them in the Fusion, right? After that, requirement scope. Now, if you see here, scope and in scope. See here, project scope. Now, project scope, requirement scope means what we are going to offer them and how we are going to implement. First of all, whatever the sequence of our working, exactly the same we have to write down in the BRD. First of all, GL implementation. Yes, GL implementation we are going to do first. Then the GL balance migration, import closing balances and QB through spreadsheet, AP implementation, and then AP data migration. Whatever the data, the migration, data migration of last 2 years. See, whenever we talk about the scope, we have to define each and everything in the BRD, because this BRD will be signed by the higher authorities, all the higher authority personals. So that is why you have to show all the points, scope and out scope. This is in scope, right? AR implementation, active customer details, open transactional detail, SO detail of last 2 years. This thing especially I emphasize that you have to mention it very clearly, because if the client says that last 10 years data, so we have to define it very clearly in the scope. Then AR data migration. Now active customer details, open transactional details, all these again last 2 years. Financial data implementation. And then this is the phase 2. Suppose if a project is very large, in that case what happens, we divide the project into 2 phases. In the very first phase we define some activities, and in the second phase we are going to define some other activities. Secondly, outscope. Now outscope means HCM, CRM will not be implemented in Fusion NetSuite. Hardware, so this is completely based on migration only. So hardware software expenses will be bear by client, and then multi-currency adjustment clause, all these things we have written in the outscope, that we are not going to license and other expenses will be bear by the client. So you have to define each and everything into the in scope and outscope. So here is requirement scope. Now functional requirement. Functional requirement means whatever functional process. Now functional process means, for example, order to cash. If I show you this is the COA. We will again repeat this BRD twice. Now COA, where is that order to cash, purchase to procure? Just a second. Yeah, here is. Now order to cash, that is and P2P cycle, right? So this is the order to cash process. What process is going on in the QuickBook, that we have already defined here, right? And then what we are offering them, we have defined this. For example, order approval 3 level, item fulfillment, and then all these things. This is API REST API facility. So this all things are what we are offering them. We have written in this BRD, right? Similarly, if you talk about the P2P process, so P2P process, whatever the P2P process going on there and what we are offering them, that we have written here. So here is, you can see functional requirements. Now data requirements. Now what is data requirements? If you see here 4 point, documents parameters. Data requirement means, see, there are 2 things. First, you will collect all the process, that how you are going to how you do the order to cash process. You will note down everything. Secondly, you will note down, first of all, O2C process. You will note down O2C, then P2P process you will note down, right? And then after noting down all this process, there are some list of documents that you want to work. For example, if you see here, provide the list of buyers, procurement agent and organization with roles. Then if you see here, provide the list of customer profile type, provide the list of collectors in the organization with roles, and then AR statement cycle, APAR statement cycle. These are the list of documents. Two types of informations are there. One is that you collect with face-to-face meeting. Another documents means you take some documents. For example, if you demanded the printout of all the invoices, printout format of all the invoices, all the purchase orders, all the sales orders, so definitely that is a requirement. Yeah, we have already shown here is a just a second here. Document require. Okay, so we have to take the these are the some documents. So you can we have to demand these documents from the user. Then we have to show the, let's see the another point. Data requirement is okay. Non-functional requirement. Non-functional requirement means same thing. If it is written here, I show you. Existing all master list of active customers along with ID and description and addresses. Now there are some requirements. For example, the company you see here, provide list of business unit location if possible with Google Map ID, because many companies are having their Google Map IDs also. So there are some requirements which are directly not used, but they are required. Then interface requirement, as I just explained you, that printout of all the formats. Printout, for example, if the client employee is habitual with a printout and with the format of purchase order form, so we will require all the printouts of that, so that same UI, same user interface we will develop in the Fusion. So this is the 6th point, interface requirement, right? Now schedule with time and deadlines. Now schedule with timeline and deadline means in any project you have to provide how many members are required. Then you have to provide the deadlines also. You have to provide the deadlines that at this point of time you will complete this. So that is another Excel sheet that will be shown in the Excel sheet in every meeting, right? Then let's see here the another point. Schedule time, okay. Cost benefit analysis means again the same thing, the user trainings, if they are using any other application, so the cost of integration, all these things. The cost benefit analysis means it is completely based on costings. Then expectation and assumptions. Now if I show you this, we have written assumptions. See here, whatever information given by you will be intact and related documents will be provided as per the project demand. So here is expectation and assumptions. And business glossary. Business glossary means whatever we are providing you after implementing that, how your business will behave, right? What type of benefit you will get. Now these are the hardware and software requirements also. We have to provide. Then the milestones, project planning, then requirement and analysis all. Now let's see from the beginning, because I have shown you point wise, but again we will see. I am showing you this BRD from beginning. In the first part our details are written here. Then this is the revision history. These are the tables which are created. I have already mentioned the benefit of writing this revision history, reviewers and approvals, because it shows the what changes are introduced time to time. Then this is the table of content, right? All the table of content is written here. Now executive summary, first part, everything about our company, then our vision, what we are doing. After that, project overview. Now project overview means what is the project? What is the project? What are our objectives? What we are going to offer the client? This is the project overview. Then about company information, client information. This is the client information, right? This is completely the client information. All these things: India location, where is the subsidiary? What in Delhi it is the subsidiary is there. Then tax information of their company, right? Then why client wants to switch. So there are some these are some points that we have explained here. for data, so financial consolidation and data security purpose, different accounting standards. So these are the reasons why client wants to switch. And then these are the project scope. We will ask them that, okay, we are implementing, first part is GL implementation, and this GL implementation, so we will demand a accounting calendar, COA, enable currencies, account standard to create ledger. All these things comes under this point. GL balance migration, import closing balance from QB through spreadsheet. Accounts payable implementation. Here common basic setups for payables. Then if required, we will attach the images also. In other next pages, you will see the images. Then AP data migration, vendor detail, inventory detail, master detail. All this comes under phase 1, right? This is phase 1. So you have to clearly mention that whatever you are doing, each and every point. Then AR implementation, active customer detail, open transaction details, all, but within the last 2 years. AR data migration, active customer detail, open transactional detail, SO detail, last 2 years. And then financial data implementation. So financial, based on the client's requirement, we generate internal reports and external reports that are either balanced based on transaction based, right? And this comes in the second part for phase 2. So we have to clearly mention phase 1 and phase 2. Now what is out of scope? Right? Out of scope means what we are not doing. We are not giving these things. SCM, CRM will not be implemented. Hardware expenses, all these we have already discussed. So this is called in scope and out scope. Now the important thing comes. Current process and proposed process. In BRD, we have to define this thing very clearly, that what is the current process and what is the proposed process. Now suppose if you see this image, current process is their currency is USD and calendar this, right? Legal entity is US and business unit is US, and then inventory. This is their current process. And what we are proposing them, this is our proposed process. Currency, calendar, this is secondary ledger, and then all these things we have already explained. We have mentioned this in the BRD. Then COA structure. So COA structure in QuickBook, in their company, what they are doing. So we have mentioned this. And proposed COA structure. What we have proposed, that is our proposed COA structure. Chart of accounts and structure and instance. Then all these things we will explain them in depth, right? Then accounting period. In accounting period, suppose in America 1st January to 31st of December, but in India 1st April to 31st of March. This is our accounting calendar works. So we have to what we say, configure the accounting calendar in the Fusion as per their requirement. Then the currency information, you see what currency they are using, currency US dollar, EST is the time zone, and in what format they are writing. What format they are writing means we have to configure each and everything in Fusion. Then if you see here, GL process workflow, GL process current and process proposed. Here is general ledger and here proposed GL. We have to explain them what our process works and what they were doing, and how after implementation of Fusion, that data in Fusion, how they will behave. This is done by the functional consultants. GL reports. Now see, GL inquiries, GL report, all these reports are the higher authorities or the vice president of the company or the sales manager, they are interested in reports. So we have to show clearly that what reports we have mentioned. So this is we have mentioned here. Order to cash and purchase to procure. Now after GL, this is order to cash in QuickBook. Now in QuickBook, what they are doing, we have mentioned this, and what we are offering them. Now see here, what we are offering them. We have shown that in the sales, there is API, REST API facility we are giving them, order validation, then the approval level up to 3 level, item fulfillment, all these things we are giving them. Similarly, in purchase to procure process, we have mentioned their process, and then in proposed P2P, this is what defined procurement strategy, and then manage vendor master and all these things we have mentioned here, manage PO item receipt, all these things, right? Then the data migration. Now the data migration comes. Data migration is a separate process. First of all, now see, first thing, information gathering. First thing comes information gathering. Let me show you a very clear way. First thing is information gathering, right? Okay. Second thing is implementation part. Basic and necessary information implementation. That is GL implementation, right? Okay. Then the third part comes. Master data migration. Right, in Fusion. Right now we are at this stage, right? So we will enhance this image as we go further. So okay, now where is that? Okay, here migration process we have mentioned here, that how migration process we are going to perform. So what type of process it is? Right now just have a look in the image. I will explain you technically also. Now client will download the data in Excel sheet, then storing the data in staging area, then verifying the data for consistency. Is the data consistent? No, then again go upside. If it is yes, then massaging the data, massage the data in uploading staging area, upload the files in sandbox environment, then validate the uploaded data, and then is the testing successful? Okay, yes, validate the data in production. Is production testing successful? Yes, migration successful. We have already discussed this in our previous webinars. I will again explain it today. Then the documentation parameter comes. Now the documentation parameter comes means what documentation that we are demanding. For example, customers list. So definitely the customer list they have to provide in Excel sheet. They have to put that Excel sheet in a staging area. For example, vendor details, then the transaction details, all these, and some personal information, existing enterprise structure and existing organizational structure, then existing business process flow. So all these are the information that we receive in the form of document from the client, and this is very necessary. Why? Because our developers and the consultants, whatever they will design based on these documents only. So these are the documents that we will demand. Next is resources deployed, because whatever the costing, whatever the costing is done of that project, that is based on the number of employees, that how many employees have you deployed on it. So you have to provide the information of those resources also. Next part is assumptions. Assumptions means whatever we are assuming. For example, we believe that the client is giving the correct information to us, the client is giving the document, and client will provide us the documents whatever we demand in the system, during the task of migration. Limitations of the target system. Yeah, limitations of the target system also we have to write, like once the calendar is created in primary ledger and ledgers are created, then the calendar can't be changed. So we have to define it very clearly in our BRD to the client, that give us each and every final information, that so that once we start working on our project, then in the middle of the project no further changes will be entertained. So we have to define all these things. Then the hardware and software requirement. Hardware, see, normally this thing, because today everyone is using laptop and high quality latest version of applications or the Windows 11, but we have to define these things in the BRD, that what type of hardware you are using, what type of software you need to use. These informations as a record you have to mention in the BRD, right? Because Oracle also suggests that you have to mention all these things. Then milestone task. Milestone task means it is for the customer or the client, that what we are doing first: project planning, then the requirements and analysis, then the design stage, then import existing client data, creating the GUI. This is one type of scope, because beyond these 10 points we will not do anything else. For example, final UAT testing, giving the training to the employee, to the client, giving necessary documentation to the client. All these things comes in milestone tasks. In future, and once all these things are written, we have to take the sign off from the client. Now, sign off of the client means it is now fixed. The requirements are freezed. The requirements are freezed. Now no further changes will be done. Now our consultants are good to go ahead. So this is how the BRD is prepared. Let me explain you. Let's have a quick recap on this. Let me tell you the importance of this revision history and reviewers and approvals. Revision history means how many times this document is revised. Because once you define the final date, and after that meeting, if the client introduce some new changes in that, definitely the functional developers and the technical developers, they have to make changes in their work. So definitely the timeline will increase and the deadline will exceed the given date of go live. So this revision history shows that what's the reason why, how many times this document is revised. Reviewers also shown that how many reviewers have reviewed this and how many approvals it received. So that's why these three tables are necessary in this. Then the content. First part is executive summary, that means our information. Project overview about the client. Client information is given here. Why client wants to switch, you have to mention it. Then the project scope. Project scope means what we are going to do in your in this complete process. That is GL implementation, GL balance migration, all AP implementation, AP. Why we are writing this? Apart from these points, we are not going to do anything else. So that is why these things you have to mention the last 2 years data also, that we will migrate only last 2 years. Then phase 2, whatever comes in the phase 2, that is another part. Then out of scope means whatever out of scope, that is whatever we are not going to do, that's it. Then comes the current and proposed. Now this point means whatever they are using currently and what we are offering them, we have written this. Enterprise structure, what their enterprise structure is this, and what we are offering them. Current, right? COA structure and what our COA structure says. Then let me show you one more thing. For example, if I define a data migration, let's come here. And COA. Here it is. Mapping. Here if I show you. See, this is the mapping part that we have done here. QuickBook account, Fusion account code, and the values. These values are written for the developer purpose, that the developer should be able to understand. Because the developer's point of view is different. Developer looks into the things in a different way, in a coding perspective, and functional consultant looks the things into different perspectives. So that is why we have to explain the developer in his own language. So we have written this mapping source file of CO, right? Okay, let's again come to the point. Okay, accounting period is this, whatever their accounting period, whatever our accounting period. Then currency information we have written here. See, currency information. Then the GL process workflow, how GL process workflow is here and what we are providing them. Correct? Okay. Then the GL reports. See, higher authorities are more interested in reporting part. So you have to design the reports, and what type of reports you are showing them, you are going to show them, you have to mention it, because based on this they will evaluate this part most, right? So this thing is there. Then order to see, P2P cycle, all these things comes here. Whatever we are, what enhanced things we are giving, we have to show it into the picture format. Correct? Then proposed P2P process, and then the data migration complete process. So this is how we have to show in the format of pictures. BRD should not be full of text, neither it should be full of images only, because both the things should be in a proper proportion. Wherever images are required, we put the images. Wherever text is required, we put the text. Now document required, we have to provide this all, we have to demand them. Right, provide the list of TDS, withholding, VAT, GST related, because in India GST and all these things are there. So similarly, all these 17 points. So the list of questions are that, for example, if I go to client, what I am going to ask them, that what process you are working on, you are practicing, and what changes you need. So such type of questions are asked to the client, and based on that we write down our complete process, and based on this only we design this document. After asking so many questions, the client says, okay, we need this and we need that, and then this complete chart is derived. So this is the document required. Then the sources, resources. Why? Because the costing, how many costing that we are going to demand, that is another thing. Then the assumptions. Assumptions means what we are thinking, on what assumptions we are working on that. So whatever we assume that everything is given, that is correct from the client side. Then hardware and software requirements is written here, and then the milestone task. So that's it. So guys, we have learned about BRD, full BRD, which is prepared for data migration from QuickBook to Fusion. So this was all about the BRD. Now let's see how we do this practically. Right? How we do this practically. Here it comes. See. Let's see again. Now how we do this practically, I will tell you the practical part also. So let's see the practical part also. For example, here let's come here. Here it is. See, practically how it is done, migration part. First of all, we will download the Excel sheet from QuickBook. Let's take any COA part, right? GL implementation. So chart of accounts, we download all these things. So in QuickBook, total bank, the code of this, total vendor non-trade receivables. These are the QuickBook account code. These are the Fusion account code. And then we have these three parts, D, E, F, G. These are the columns written by us that we have mapped them. This 140200 will be changed into 11100. And with the help of scripting part, now let's see this. If I go to customize tab and then Fusion COA. Now let's wait for 2 seconds. Only 2 seconds. Okay. Sounds fine. Here it comes new output file. See here, new output file is generated. When I hit that button, customize tab, Fusion COA, that complete data is converted into this. Now see, if I show you 11100, see total bank assets. Here is 11100, total bank, right? Total bank, and here also total bank. Then if I show you 17100, that is the total capital assets. 17100, where is 17100? 17100, so total capital, and it comes in the asset part. So 17100, it comes in the asset part, and then the total capital. Now see here, why this thing is done, during this migration process, why this scripting is done, because this is the format which is understandable by the Fusion. We have to upload this format. Now this Excel sheet is ready to be uploaded, right? If I upload this Excel sheet in Fusion, Fusion will easily accept this file, because this is the format that Fusion reads. So now this is how. Now what is the background coding work in this? Now let me show you with this. Here is the mapping py file. Now see here, we have used Python. We have used Python technology to do the data massaging. Now here data massaging, there are two types of data massaging, or data cleaning, or data arrangement. One is, suppose you are having right now, in case of COA, this sheet will be prepared by the CA or the accountant, right? The person who is well versed in accounts. Now here there is no any question. Here there is no any question of what we say, special characters or anything else. So there is nothing like data massaging. We just need to transform the data into this format, whatever the Fusion understands, right? And second thing, data massaging, that is for example, vendor. In case of vendor, we will see that, right? So first of all, let me explain you the code, how the code works. Now see here we have used Python and data science concept. 1 minute please. Just 1 second. Okay, now this is the code of Python. This py file is executed when we hit the button. As I have shown you that I hit that button, Fusion COA, and then this executed. These are all the libraries. Now this document only a developer can understand, right? So technical developer can understand this. What here it is done, the file given to the developer is this. This file is given to the developer, and developer has to convert it into this part, right? And this is fully dynamic. Don't think that here 3 is written or 1 is written, that might be hard code. No, there is nothing like hard code. This file is fully dynamic. This script is fully dynamic. Okay. Now here we have defined that parent 9, 8, and then the whatever up to parent 1, right? Then we have defined parent 9 to 8 and how many childs are there, and then the description, then the account, and these are the column names with the help of C here. pt.dataframe. In data science, the Excel sheet data is taken out and converted into the data frame, right? So pt.dataframe, and then x in, this is a for loop written in Python, and then whatever the child. Now here try and catch exception handling is done. It is very mandatory for every developer to check, to write down in his code, right? And then Finally, new output.csv file is generated and in the same path it is placed. So this is how the code works. So this Python script is written only for the transformation of data, not for data massaging and cleansing, nothing. Just transform the data in from this format to this format. So this script is written in that way. Now let's take an example of vendor, right? See here. Now vendor, when we downloaded the Excel sheet of vendor data from the QuickBook, it looks like this. Now initially 35 rows are not meaningful for us, not useful for us, right? Then here from 36th line some data is useful for us. This is called the headers, heading labels. These are all the heading labels, right? And whatever we have analyzed in our Fusion, suppose here ADDR1 is used in QuickBook, right? As I have explained you in this, see, just a second, here see, in QuickBook ADDR1, this is, I am taking the example of vendor data, right? Now this is ADDR1 is used, ADDR2 is used, but in Fusion we need address 1. Now who will tell the developer? How developer will come to know? So we have to provide the developer a mapping file also. Now see, the mapping file we have provided, this is the source, this is the target figure. Now here ADDR1 will be replaced by address line 1. Here ADDR2 will be replaced by the address line 2. So this type of naming conventions and the mapping file should be provided to the developer, and the developer, based on this, the developer will write the script. So if I hit this button in front of you, just a second, here is, I hit this button, customize tab, vendor QB vendor, right? I hit this button. Now initial 35 rows will be deleted and the new file will be generated based on our requirement. Look at this. Just 1 minute, 1 second. Yes, here. Now as I told you, address line 1 will be here. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Total 9 records are there, 10 records are there. And if I take this in the vendor file, if I open the vendor file, original vendor file I am opening, right? I am opening the original vendor file. Here is again same 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All the 10 records are converted in the format what we need, right? And also the headers are changed. You can see here address line 1 and address line 3. See here, everything is now changed. So in this way the data migration and Python is done technically, and this is what our target is, to show how the data is migrated. Then if I show you the technical part of this vendor, see here, vendor, in this part what we have done, see, mapping, where is that mapping file? Here is mapping file, and then you see total how many number of count is 206. 206 headers are there. 206 headers are there, and whatever the headers that we are having, count is 11. So there are 11 headers here in QuickBook, but there are some information additional. Now suppose it's a hardcore procurement view, in Fusion it is required. Then if you see here, hardcore supplier side, it is hard coded. Then which are inactive date and sourcing only, these all things can be ignored, but we have to add these headers into the Excel sheet, so that at the time of upload it will ignore which are empty, having empty cells, but it will upload all the data. Now let's see the code also. Let's see the code here. Here what we have done, importing all the necessary libraries here, right? File name, file path, everything. Here you have to provide your Python path. Then here if condition is given, if it will check one by one all the cell information, and then it will put it into the Excel first. Then here if you see all these new columns, these are the new columns will be created into the new Excel sheet. And here is a for loop. Actually maximum code is standard type. We have just made some changes based on our requirement. Then we see here if rename. Here we are renaming, as I have explained you in depth in my previous webinar. So I recommend you to watch my day before yesterday's webinar. Okay, webinar number 3. Okay, so this is how I have replaced and then re-indexed and then save the new output file. That's it. Now once it is done, what happens here, new output file, once it is done, now it is good to upload. And the process is the same. Process is like pulling the data from the source file and then transforming the data and then putting the data into the final sheet, and then put that sheet into the staging area, and from there from that staging area we upload all the files one by one. Okay, so now this is the complete process of data migration. This is the BRD process. I have shown you how the data is done technically. The technical part also I have shown you. Technology used for ETL. Okay, let's take a migration of data, vendor source data. In this we have seen two data, that is the COA data and the vendor file. Correct. Then we have seen here the BRD scope, whatever the BRD, how BRD is created, right? We have to see all the stakeholders. We have to check all the stakeholders, and we have to put the images also in BRD wherever required. In this BRD I have not put only text. I have given the images and flowcharts, images, flowcharts plus text. BRD consists of all these things. BRD, images plus flowchart and plus text. Okay, so this is the complete BRD. Technically I have explained you, right? This BRD is prepared for migration purpose only from QB to Fusion. And if you have any type of doubt, you can put down in the comment box. I will resolve them. And in our previous sessions I have shown you the technical part in depth, that how technically things are done. So I recommend you to watch my previous video. In this process, in this webinar we have covered all things, how to prepare the BRD, how to what type of BRD we have prepared here. I have shown you this, and what things are included here. Let's see in the table of content what all these things, vision and in scope, out scope, currency, COA structure, whatever we are showing them, that should be coming into the BRD part. And how the data is migrated into the technical part also we have covered. So guys, this webinar contained, we have covered all things from BRD, from theory to practical of migration, and from practical the writing of BRD process also. All these things we have covered, and if you have any doubt, then please note down in the comment box. I will resolve them. Thank you guys. Thanks for attending the webinar. Thank you.